This week on The Real Housewives of Potomac.
Don't like me?
No, I do not like this conversation because you're basically calling me fake by saying that the other day I had this energy.
That is what being fake is.
How did I call you fake? They don't just let me finish. Shows the energy.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping the new episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 3. Let's get right into it. You guys, Potomac is taking it. When I tell y'all this is a fantastic season, and we're only 3 episodes in, I'm really enjoying this season. I think it's really good. I enjoy Potomac Sundays, honestly, much more than I enjoy Atlanta Sundays, only because, to be honest, I've just like Potomac better, and something about Potomac kind of being in the fall season, pretty soon we're gonna be approaching the holiday season, so I just love Potomac Sundays. So this week we got the taglines, and the best one, in my opinion, was Stacey's. Hers was, "Some people believe the lies, but still, I rise." I thought that was really, really good. The worst one was Ashley's. Didn't make no sense. But let's get into this episode. So we started the episode with Stacey. So she and her friend AJ are with Arabella, Stacey's daughter. Arabella is like rehearsing for like a little pageant that she's doing, something about Miss Third Grade. So she's rehearsing how to walk and putting on the crown. Stacey then also FaceTimes her husband, so who's Arabella's dad or ex-husband, Arabella's dad, so that he can also kind of see it. So she was really proud of her in that moment. So then we see Wendy and Keiarna meet up. They're like by the harbor. Keiarna still wants to continue and try to fix their friendship, talk about their issues so that they can move past it. So they sit down, but before they get into it, Kay does ask her really quickly if she's going to Preakness. It's a very popular event in Maryland that we've actually seen in a few, in the older seasons of Potomac back in the day. It's like horse races and things like that. So Kay's asking Wendy if she's going, and Wendy's like, "Yeah, I'm hosting my own thing." And Kay's like, "Oh, okay, I'm hosting my own thing, so we could either do it together or do it separately because I was already planning something." And then Wendy's like, "Well, the First Lady of Maryland invited me." So they kind of bicker about that. But then Kay brings up the conversation that they were having at Ashley's Bloom Ball and how they didn't really get anywhere. So Wendy says that for her, what Kay is saying is very kid-like, and that, to be honest, she's the one that sees red flags with Kay, and that when she sits back to think about it, she realizes that Kay doesn't really have her back. Then she gives some examples to try and prove that she's been a good friend. So she says, last year during my birthday, Ashley said that you had a boyfriend who sold drugs and that's how you got your money, and I defended you. And Kay pretty much says, yes, in public you've been a good friend, but in private you haven't. Then she brings up how Wendy is very dismissive and how she felt very belittled by Wendy when her and Gizelle were talking at Ashley's Bloom Ball. Kay says, "You don't even like her." And then Wendy says, "You don't like her." And then Wendy says, "I was having my own conversation with Gizelle." Kay says, "Listen, Wendy, when you talk on the phone, it is very supportive. I will admit that. But it's really always centered around the show." Wendy then does this very annoying laugh that she does a lot that I've never liked, because it's very fake and very annoying. She exaggerates this laugh, and she does it to deflect and to try and belittle the other person. She did it with I remember she did it with Nneka, with too many people. I can't stand when she laughs like that. But that was pretty much it. They kind of give each other the middle finger, and then they keep it pushing. It's not super contentious between them. It's not like they're gonna hate each other, but they kind of just left it at that. I think what it is, and there's definitely some fourth wall here, it's very clear that when Wendy brought Kay in the show, and even Kay being on the show, Wendy wanted an alliance. And I think that Kay was hoping for a real friendship, when it was very clear that Wendy was looking at this just as a business thing. It's very clear, because if you are only calling someone and want to make it look when you're on the show, but on private, it's you don't really be messing with them, Yeah, that's called an employee. That's called like your coworker. As employees, you're just getting along. And which is kind of sad because that was never the point of Housewives, but it's what we've come to nowadays. So then we see a scene with Angel. I really liked this scene because we're still getting to know her. She is home with her family and her dad was there, and she says that her mother actually passed away. I love seeing that her husband was like in the background cooking, but he was still listening into the conversation. So remember last week Angel had the girls over and she's still a little taken aback by what Gizelle told her. Remember Gizelle told Angel, I talked to Kay and Kay said that she chin checked you. Angel feels like that was very disrespectful and she wants to talk to Kay about it because it's just not sitting well with her. That word or those words, chin check, like that really bothers her. Okay, so moving along, Stacey meets with Jazzy. I wasn't sure if Jazzy was going to be on this season, but she is. So we see her. Jazzy's so pretty. I can't stop looking at her when she's on the screen. She looks a lot like Abby Phillip. Very pretty. So they have lunch. They go down memory lane, how they went to Miami for Mia's birthday, only for them not to have seen Mia. Y'all remember that? That was crazy. So Jazzy's getting married, so she's been busy planning her wedding and everything. Jazzy tells Stacey that she is going to the Peakness event, and Stacey's like, oh, that's great. You should definitely join us when we get there as well. But now Stacey is telling her that, every time she is with the ladies, they just go in on her, especially Gizelle and Ashley, consistently asking her about her relationship, and is she married, is she divorced, why is she back with her ex? And Jazzy's like, well, who cares? My grandparents got divorced, but they still stayed together for many, many years. Stacey says, yeah, and didn't Gizelle get back with her ex-husband at one point? Then Stacey says, which, speaking of, word on the street, and then she pulls out a picture of Gizelle and a man on a date. I had actually seen this picture before. This was taken by a fan that happened to be at the same restaurant, and they saw Gizelle with this man. They weren't filming or anything. Like, she was genuinely on a date with this guy. He's a retired NFL player, apparently. Now, I love Stacey. I don't really understand what this is supposed to prove. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like them attacking her. I mean, maybe it proves that Gizelle shouldn't be worried about Stacey's relationship, instead worry about what she has going on. But I think that's about it. Moving along to Tia. I feel like we know Angel more. Like, I feel like we as the audience have been able to connect more with Angel. With Tia, it's still a little, she still feels very new. So she has the scene with her children, and like I said, we're getting to know her. So we see her daughters, they're twins and they're teenagers. So, they're at that age where, I can imagine it's really tough for parents. Like, the kids have attitude and everything, and the siblings fighting with each other and whatnot. So then her and her husband go outside, just the two of them, to talk. She talks about work. I might be mistaken, but I think she might be the breadwinner. Now, he does work too, so that's important to say. He definitely works, but it looks like he really holds down the fort. So they kind of talk a little bit about that and about parenting, because they are a bit different. I think that has a lot to do with Tia's upbringing. I mean, if you come from a royal family, from another country, and now you're just kind of like living in the U.S. in the suburbs, definitely is different. So they kind of talk a little bit about that. So then let's move on to the next scene. Tia and Gizelle go shopping. Gizelle asks her, how have you been? And Tia says, I've been knackered. And Gizelle says, naked? And Tia's like, knackered. Something like that. It's like some British word, I'm sure. Anyway, Angel also joins them, and Gizelle actually threw some shade about the outfit that Tia wore for Angel's get-together. And listen, I laughed out loud because Tia was like, well, you can't really talk about it, like, with your style. I was like, yes, Tia. Tia says that she knows that people have always talked about Gizelle's horrible style. So Gizelle says to them that the girls need some time off. So she's going to be hosting a trip. Now, believe it or not, the last time Gizelle hosted a trip was the New Orleans trip. That was one of the best Potomac trips. I got to give her that. It really was. I believe it was season 4. They're going to Nevis. They're going to the Caribbean islands. It's going to be fun. So Wendy also joins them. And then Angel asks Wendy, hey, how did your talk with Kay go? And Wendy's like, it was okay, but her examples don't really make any sense. Tia says, no, but you asked it if she was wearing her own makeup. That was nice, Wendy. And then Gizelle asks Angel if she and Kay are okay. Now, this is crazy. So y'all remember at Angel's party, last week's episode, Gizelle told Angel, hey, Kay said she chin-checked you. Kay denied it. But then Gizelle said to Kay, no, you really did say that. So then Kay owned up to it and said, I apologize. I guess I did. I'm sorry. Well, it turns out that now Kay took it back. Now she's saying that she didn't say it again. Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like if she would have just, that only made things worse. If you would have just, Keiarna, I'm talking to you, if you would have just owned up to saying it back at Angel's party and not have backtracked, it wouldn't have even been an issue anymore because you would have just owned up to it and apologized. But now she says that she didn't say it, so Gizelle says to Angel here in this scene, no, she really did say it. And like I said to y'all in the other scene, Angel doesn't like that verbiage at all. The word chin-checked, doesn't like it. And she says, like, she was very upset. And she says that Kay shouldn't even be using that language, especially given what happened to her. Ooh, she's talking about the fight with Deborah in season 8. So yeah, she was very upset and said that she was not going to stand for that. Alright, so then it is the day of the event. And we see Greg. Him and Kay are back together. Listen, she must be colorblind. She must not be able to differentiate red from green when it comes to those flags. So she's having their little get-together at the condo that she has, the new one. She says that she has come to realize that, maybe Greg doesn't need to support her in the way she wants to be supported. I was like, what? She sounds insane. So the women begin to arrive. They're a little confused at seeing Greg. Also, Gizelle invites everyone to the trip to Nevis. I will say, as far as the outfits that they wore for this event, worst dressed Gizelle, best dressed Wendy. Of course, she's always the best dressed generally. So then they sit to have lunch, and of course Gizelle gets the mess rolling. She just can't help herself. She gets that pot stirring real quick. So she says, how are we at Kay's place, but it's Wendy's event? So then Kay's like, well, we all know Wendy, she likes to be first, better, and best, but we're going to have a good time right now. Then Wendy says, I think it's kind of awkward to want to have a constant issue with me. Like, as you can see, there was no problem, but you like to come with, like, your pre-rehearsed lines. And Kay's like, well, you like to come in with your professor attitude. And Wendy's like, well, you must be insecure. So they have their little back and forth. Gizelle then says to Kay, well, listen, Kay, when it comes to you, the thing that kind of gave me pause was you telling Angel that you didn't say what you said, and you're like making me look like a liar. So then Kay says to Angel, okay, I did say it, and I apologize. Now, Kay, why would you do that? But anywho, Angel then says to Kay, okay, I accept it, and I'm sorry if you felt like I didn't have your back. I definitely do have your back. So then that causes Wendy to be like, whoa. That's not the energy you had at the store the other day. At the store, you were so offended, and you, even brought up her fight. And then that made Kay be like, whoa. Now, to be fair, Wendy is right. Angel was definitely more heated. She had much more energy. She was much more upset at the store. That's very much true. But it was a bit much. I mean, Gizelle and Wendy, they just came in at her. And Ashley, too. And I was like, Ashley, you weren't even there. You weren't even at the store. Why are you chiming in? But anyhow, Angel says, well, yeah, that energy was different, but that was 2 days ago. Now, this is the part that kind of made me a little uncomfortable, you guys, because Keiarna says to Angel, you have the right to feel however you feel. I understand that, things can get heightened in these types of situations, but whatever this chat was that y'all had, I hope that be the last one. Well, damn. Now, that's a chin check, because Angel was like, she didn't say anything. But Angel says, it's been 2 days. Of course, my energy is going to be different. Let's have some emotional intelligence. Kay then says to Angel randomly, Angel, do you like this lady? And she's pointing at Wendy. And Angel says, today, no, I don't like this conversation. Like, you're basically calling me fake. And Wendy says, why are you targeting me? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm just bringing up the difference of your energy. Now, I did think it was a little dumb for Wendy to be surprised that Angel would be upset at her. I mean, Wendy, you did throw her under the bus and called her out. You didn't lie, but obviously, she's new, okay? Angel says, well, you know what? When you find things out in the moment, yeah, it shocks you and you are much more angry in that moment, but when you sleep on it, it's gonna change. Wendy says, well, the way you just flipped on me was crazy. Wow. And then Angel says, well, wow to you too, Wendy. So then after that, they get going. So they get on a sprinter so that they can actually go to the event, to the horse race. And they cheers. They open up a bottle of champagne I think it was champagne. Gizelle then makes things awkward. She says, can I toast to Angel? Because she looked upset. And Angel's like, no, I'm not upset. I'm mad. I was like, okay. Now, I thought that the drama was over, but it continued here on this sprinter because Kay is trying to give advice to Angel. She's like, listen, I know it's a lot in this group. Things go left. I speak candidly and honestly, but it's always from a place of love. Like, even when I was coming at you, Wendy, was from a place of love. And then Stacy's like, that's not how you come to me. It's not a place of love. And then Kay's like, well, you're a different story. I was actually really excited to get to know you at first. And Stacy's like, well, you had many events when you didn't invite me and you didn't want to get to know me. So then they start to go back and forth. Kay, as she was drinking out of her glass, she spills some champagne on her chin, on her face. And then Wendy randomly starts to antagonize Angel. And she's like, that's your friend of 20 years. She should wipe you with her dress. What? Anyway, Stacey and Kay are still going at it, and Kay seems to be very deeply disturbed by Stacey. And it's honestly a little bit weird, because we saw this at Ashley's Bloom Ball. The energy that Kay has for Stacey is kind of crazy. So she's going off, and she says the word hoe, and Stacey's like, oh, you're calling me a hoe? And then the girls are like, no, that's like a colloquialism. And Stacey says, oh, I don't want to get chin-checked. You would be the person to show me. Stacey, I love you. And not Ashley talking about, that's a low blow. Ashley, you're the last one to be talking about low blows. In the words of Meredith Marks, you can leave. But you guys, that was the end of the episode. This was a good episode. Now, I gotta say, Angel got rough, she got a shake. This episode, she definitely got a feel of what it's like to be on the Real Housewives of Potomac, okay? This ain't a show where you're not gonna be called out. You absolutely are, and you're gonna have to own it. You're gonna have to stand up for yourself, because these are some of the pros when it comes to the Real Housewives franchise. But I think it's gonna help her. Like I said, she's new. She needs to know what it's like, and she definitely got some real hands experience when it comes to being around these housewives. And I will say, I thought it was really whack of Keiarna, the way she was coming at Angel in front of everybody. What are you doing? I didn't like Keiarna. I understand what she's saying when it comes to Wendy. As I said to you guys before, I understand that she was expecting a true friendship, and that's fair. When it comes to the way she's been acting this season, she needs to pipe down. I was never somebody who supported her even getting a full-time position. I really do feel like it was by default. She's doing way too much. I can't. And it looks like next week she's going to get into it with Jazzy. Okay, guys, now let's get to some stuff that happened today off of the show. So, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Wendy apparently broke her silence for the first time since her arrest. So she goes on Instagram and she posts a picture of her outfit that she was wearing for tonight's episode, which, as I said before, she was the best dressed. When it comes to Wendy, like her or not, she's the best dressed. So on the caption, she says, and through it all, God remains faithful. Thank you for the outpouring of love, support, and prayer for myself, and most importantly, my family during this time. We are forever grateful. Tune in to Bravo tonight for a new episode of RHOP. Now, I was shocked when I saw that this was posted. So I actually wanted to go to her Instagram to see the actual post. I go to her Instagram and all of a sudden it says user not found. And I don't know if you guys use Instagram that much, but basically that means I was blocked. And I was like, oh wait, maybe she deactivated her account. So I asked somebody else, hey, can you go to Wendy Osefo's Instagram to see if like she still has her account? And she absolutely does have her account. I'm blocked. What the hell? I find this hilarious only because, you know, had I gone to her page and commented, I don't like you, you're a had I commented anything, I would have been, okay, that makes sense. You guys, I have never gone on her page. I have never commented. I don't follow her. I don't like her. So the fact that I'm blocked, how does that even happen? I was really shocked. And again, not because I care. I don't even like Wendy, as y'all know. But the fact that I would have been blocked, what that tells me is either her or somebody from her little friends must watch my channel and knows, because my channel is connected to my Instagram, so it's really easy to find my Instagram. I don't know if that's what it is, and because I know for a fact that a lot of people from the shows watch my my videos. I have seen it. Some of them have even left comments in the past on my recaps. So if that's the case, I think that is hilarious that they would block little old me, that she would block little old me when I've never even said anything on her page at all. But it is what it is. I really don't care. Eddie also posted something. Not blocked there, but he posted a picture and he said, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean onto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. Now here's my problem with this. People won't be doing their mess, and all of a sudden when real consequences come into the picture, all of a sudden now they want to be quoting the Bible. How about you read the Bible where it said, thou shalt not steal? How about you should have been reading the Bible then? Now y'all want to talk about, and listen, I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm a believer, so I do think they should be leaning on to the Lord in this situation. It's a hard situation, definitely is. But for all of a sudden to be talking about, oh, I'm so religious, y'all should have been thinking about that when y'all did what y'all did allegedly, okay? And not now when the problem is all over you. I just think it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And one of the things that I did see on Twitter, because that's how I was able to see Wendy's post, was that there was a lot of other housewives and other influencers that were commenting on her post, being very supportive. And I think that's great. I think it's very great that they are supporting her, and I hope that they keep supporting her so that they can put money on her books when she needs that for the commissary. Anyway, you guys, thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.